Calling the plumber to fix the sink one Saturday morning, Maria walked into the kitchen to wash the dishes after breakfast. She quickly noticed that the water inside the sink was not draining and it looked dirty. She turned the tap off, but the sink was still full of water and soap bubbles. She called loudly to her father saying, "Dad, the kitchen sink is clogged and not working." Her father came into the kitchen and bent down to look carefully at the sink drain. He tested the tap himself and saw that the water was stuck and not going down. He sighed and said, "Yes, you are right, the pipe is blocked and we cannot fix it alone. We need to call a plumber, because this is a serious problem and it needs a repair." Maria nodded and quickly picked up her phone from the table beside the fruit basket. She opened the contacts list and searched for the number of a local plumber nearby. She found a business called Carter Plumbing Services and saved their phone number. She dialed the number carefully and waited for someone to answer on the other side. The plumber answered in a friendly voice saying, "Hello, this is Carter Plumbing." Maria replied politely, "Our kitchen sink is clogged and the water will not drain out. Can you come and help us please, because we really need your urgent assistance?" The plumber said, "Of course I will come to your house and I should arrive in 1 hour." Maria thanked him warmly and ended the call with a smile of relief on her face. She turned to her father and said, "Mr. Carter, the plumber will be here very soon." Her father smiled and said, "That is great news, now our problem will be solved today." Maria felt relaxed because help was on the way and the kitchen would soon be normal. Vocabulary checkpoint. Sink means the bowl in the kitchen where you wash dishes. Tap means the device that controls water flow. Clogged means blocked, so the water cannot pass through. After about an hour, the doorbell rang and Maria ran quickly to open the door. Outside stood a man in a blue uniform carrying a large, heavy toolbox. He had a friendly face and said, "Hello, I am Mr. Carter, the plumber you called earlier." Maria welcomed him inside and her father greeted him politely with a handshake. They guided him towards the kitchen where the sink was still full of water. The plumber put down his toolbox and put on a pair of strong protective gloves. He leaned over the sink and shined a small flashlight into the drain opening. He nodded with understanding and explained, "The pipe is blocked with food scraps." He said grease and small pieces of food should not have been washed into the sink. Maria looked embarrassed and promised she would be much more careful next time. Her father nodded and said, "Yes, we must all remember not to throw scraps in the sink." The plumber smiled kindly and said, "Do not worry, this is very common and I can fix it." Vocabulary checkpoint. Toolbox means a box that holds useful tools. Gloves are protective clothing to cover your hands. Scraps means small leftover pieces of food. Mr. Carter took out a special tool called a plunger from his red toolbox. He placed it firmly over the sink drain and began to press it up and down strongly. The sink made bubbling and gurgling sounds as the water started moving a little. After a few strong pushes, the water suddenly rushed down the drain completely. The sink became empty and clean, and Maria's eyes grew wide with happiness. She clapped her hands and shouted, "It is working, the sink is finally fixed." Her father smiled with relief and said, "Thank you very much, Mr. Carter, for your help." The plumber nodded and reminded them always throw food into the bin, not the sink. Maria nodded seriously and promised she would remember his important advice. Her father agreed and said, "We will all be careful to keep the sink clear from now on." The plumber then packed away his tools and carefully wiped his gloves clean. He took out a small paper bill and explained politely how much the repair cost. Vocabulary checkpoint. Plunger is a tool used to clear a blocked sink or toilet. Drain is the hole where water goes out of the sink. Bill means a paper that shows how much money you must pay. Maria's father paid the bill kindly and thanked the plumber for his quick service. They all shook hands politely and wished him a very good day before he left. Maria and her father then cleaned the kitchen together after the repair was done. They wiped the counters dry and polished the sink until it was shining brightly. Maria said with pride, "I learned something new today about asking for help in time." Her father nodded and said problems become bigger if we ignore them too long. Maria thought about his words and whispered, "I will always take care of the sink." She felt proud because she had acted responsibly and solved a real problem. Vocabulary checkpoint. Careful means paying attention so mistakes do not happen. Relieved means feeling happy after a problem is solved. Shake hands means a polite way to greet or say goodbye. Today we learned many useful new words in this English learning story. Some of them are sink, tap, clogged, plumber, toolbox, gloves, scraps, plunger, drain bill. We also learned the meanings of careful, relieved, and shake hands. Try to make your own short story using these words and practice speaking them. Thank you very much for listening to this English story lesson. We will see you again in the next video with a brand new learning adventure.